Tomb of the Nine Gods is a tangled mess of traps, puzzles, and complicated mechanics that can be a challenge to navigate. It is a dungeon with the first boss so challenging, for a while after its release, 85% of groups that attempted the dungeon didn't see past it. Warlocks play two very specific roles in Tong. Templock is the most common, with most groups opting to take a stronger DPS, like a Great Weapon Fighter or an HR. The other option is for Warlocks to try and fit that DPS role. Since both roles basically play the same but with some slight differences, I'll focus on being a DPS. Most of what I cover can also be applied for templock, although it will look slightly different in your runs. Tomb of the Nine Gods is a dungeon filled with puzzles and moving parts. From the start you are presented with three possible paths. The right one is chosen at random, but it will always be marked by a statue of a man's face. As always, just melt everything you see. Be sure to use Tyrannical Curse on the target with the most health. The Yonti are usually good targets since they have the most health out of most of the trash. In the first main room, you'll find three tiles on the floor in the center. Pick the coffins along the outside that have matching tiles on the wall behind them to move on. Try to avoid most enemies here, because a lot of the groups can be skipped.
Left me helpless, wanting more.
The shadows are some of the most annoying enemies in the game. They are stealth until they stun-lock one of your party. The only way to free those who are stunned is to kill the shadow, so be sure to kill them as soon as you see him, regardless of which spec you're playing.
On the floor, but I still feel it.
Centuries have allowed me to perfect my tool, enhance its mechanisms, strengthen its occupants, add to its treasures. How far do you think you'll make it before you yield for the sweet?
I don't understand what they want from me.
In this room, one of three puzzles will spawn. The order of the three is chosen at random, and they will not repeat. This is the potion puzzle. There is a table with potions in the middle of the room. When someone drinks the potion, they will spawn a colored animal that they can't see. The rest of the party will tell them what colored animal they spawned. The person who drank the potion will then match the color by walking onto the pedestal with the same colored animal standing on top of it. Honestly, unless you really want to do this one, most groups will skip it since it takes a long time to complete.
Intentions rise, they push me to divert my vision, but I will break the ceiling and the walls that kept me in for all this time, and all the reasons that I cannot find. They'll wait for me to fall under that pressure. They'll wait for me to give it up. Well, I will not work against the forces I trust.
In the next room is the first boss. Clear the outside of the arena one group at a time. Let the tank pull. Enemies in here hit really hard and will one-shot you if you're not careful. Be sure to use your rotation correctly, and use Tyrannical Curse on the big guys. The bone golems are always a good target. Same with the rancid hulks.
I will do my best to keep myself composed. It takes a lot not to overload. They can't tell me what is right for me. I just need peace of mind and my ability. But no one said that it would be this hard. You can't force it, but you'll play your part. So I will run until I reach the end, and who knows where I'll be. But all I know is that we'll start again. They'll wait for me to fall under that pressure. They'll wait for me to give it up. Well,
Before entering the arena, 3 buffs must be picked up by the party. The far right is the one that should be picked up by the main DPS of the group. It increases your damage dealt to the boss, but deals a constant bleed damage to you. The middle one is usually picked up by a DC, since it decreases the damage you deal to the boss, but increases the damage to the ads he spawns. We can easily kill the ads with Tyrannical Curse, so this buff is pretty useless on anyone else in the party who does damage. Finally, the last buff on the left gives you a large amount of temporary HP. This is a buff you take if you're playing templock. During the fight, the avatar of Orcus will do many things you'll probably be familiar with if you've ran CN before. The only real new mechanic here are the big green balls he spawns on the 4 corners of the arena. These balls will chain themselves to a player in the fight and slowly move towards them. If the ball hits anyone, they will die instantly and not be able to be picked up. If you have the temp HP buff, it is your responsibility to throw yourself into these balls before they can hit the rest of your party. Be careful of taking needless damage though, since your temporary HP doesn't regenerate. Once it's gone, you'll die and have to wipe.
I've got my sights on a brand new beginning. A steady rhythm will hold me to the shore. I've got my sights on a brand new beginning. A steady rhythm will hold me to the shore. Drifting to places I should leave. So close to the edge of something so perfect. We were too scared to take the leap. I'm missing the way we used to be. Let me go. Left me in this mess I'm falling. Never know. Can't find a reason why. Can't get any closer. Can't find a reason why. Can't get any closer. Can't find a reason why. Can't get any closer. Can't get any closer. Try to forget all that we had. I'm rolling like water in the sea. The memories crashing into me. So close to the edge of something so worth it. You have the world right at your feet. It almost is all we'll ever be. We can't get any Let me go. Left me in this mess I'm falling. Never know. Can't find a reason why. Couldn't get any closer. Can't find a reason why. Couldn't get any closer. Can't find a reason why. We couldn't get any closer.
This is where the second puzzle of the dungeon will be. Remember, the order of these will be chosen at random, but it will always be these same three. For this one, you must figure out the order of the sequence by trial and error. When interacting with the next piece of the sequence, a text box will pop up telling you what number of the sequence that item is. Once you know what the sequence is, it's as easy as hitting them in the right order. Most groups skip this one as well, since it's very time consuming. Be sure to walk where I do at this part to skip a hard enemy that would spawn if you don't jump on the log. This is the third and final puzzle. Again, the order is chosen at random, and this one is really simple. It's just a ball and cup game, but with mimics. Pick the right mimic and you can move on. If you mess up, you have to kill the mimics, and guess again. This is the last room before the second boss, and in this room it is very important for everyone to be on the same page. I thought we could handle pulling the entire room, but my party wasn't aware that I pulled more. Because of this, we died and had to redo the room. Don't do what I did. Stay behind your tank and only pull what your party is ready for. Rushing through this part can be very painful if you aren't careful. The second boss is really easy. If you're running templock or have a devotion paladin, you can completely ignore his mechanics. Basically, he will alter the room slightly with his attacks. There are 3, but he usually only uses 2 that are chosen at random. His water attack will fill the room with water and slow everyone. The fire attack shoots fire around the room, dealing constant burn damage to everyone, and his lightning attack electrocutes everyone in the water, dealing a lot of damage. Most groups will have the healing to completely ignore these though, and just focus on melting him. Be sure to kill Withers himself after you kill the tower he sits in. After the mad scientist is down, it's just a short walk to the final boss, Raz Nisi. Raz is hard. He has a lot of mechanics to manage, and a lot of ways people can die if they don't know the fight. The most important mechanic is the Soulmonger charge. You can see the bar on the right of the screen. During the fight, Raz will spawn multiple Defiant Souls. You must kill these as fast as possible, since after a short period of time they will despawn. Any left alive adds to the Soulmonger charge. When Raz's health gets to about 40 to 30%, he will use the Soulmonger charge, and it will deal massive damage based on the amount of souls you missed. It's vitally important to kill these souls before they despawn, since missing just 3 could mean a full party wipe when he uses the attack. Raz will also pull the party in an attempt to pull players off the platform. When you see a giant skeleton-like ghost on either side of the platform, quickly run to the other side to avoid being pulled off. He has a couple of other attacks, but for the most part, if you stand behind him and stay at a red, you'll be just fine. It's important to note that Raz's attacks will also apply a partial paralysis, stunning you every couple seconds if you're hit. It's not too detrimental, but an unfortunate stun pull combo could mean the end of you.
This is a Neverwinter Theory YouTube exclusive.
If you're careful, have the right group setup, and pay attention to the mechanics, you'll beat Tomb of the Nine Gods no problem. Don't be too frustrated, however, if your first or second groups don't succeed. Tong is a beast unlike any other, except maybe Castle Ravenloft, but that's a topic for another video. My name is Charisma, and I hope this video was helpful. If it was, go ahead and let me know by hitting the like button, and if you want more tips and tricks from a Warlock's point of view, consider subscribing. I also have a guide on mmominds if reading is more your style. A link to that is in the description. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.